Hello ladies and gentlemen. I have to be honest with you, I'm a little incensed today. Recently I had the misfortune of riding shotgun with a Karen while we ordered fast food. I already have a lot of sympathy for fast food workers because I've worked 2 food service jobs throughout the 24 years I've lived for, and both of them sucked ass. I know what it's like to deal with shitty customers, and I know how shitty the job in and of itself is. Take away the bad interactions and the rush periods and it's not that bad in my opinion. But both are unfortunately an inevitability, and both of them seem to happen completely at random. Unfortunately, I was involuntarily part of one of those bad interactions. Of course, I was not complacent with how the person I was with was acting, and I got on their case for it. The person I was with worked in retail and apparently food service as well long ago. The person I was with was also a boomer. Shocker, I know. I do not order fast food or go anywhere with this person anymore. I do not associate with people that disregard the emotional state of people that are trying their best at their job despite the setbacks, and I do not associate with people that treat food service workers like robots, wizards, or whatever. And I especially do not associate with people who frankly don't give a shit about anyone but themselves. Story was, we were at a restaurant that, I don't know what the construction crew was thinking, but the drive-in and parking are god-awful. We get sent to the front to wait because they're cooking fresh, and we're there for like 10 minutes until one of the workers comes out with something that turns out to not be our order. The boomer Karen that I was riding shotgun with was hounding them about how long the order was taking. I wanted to say something then and there, but I got into their case that they should know how it feels to be bitched at, having worked in retail before, and I made it known to this person that I thought that they were acting like a Karen. Another 4-ish minutes goes by and we finally get our food. My driver just takes the food and goes on about how we'd been waiting there for 25 minutes, which, if it had actually been even close to 25 minutes, I'd have already gone in and be like, okay, what's going on? Of course, remaining as polite as can be, which my driver had no interest in. My driver did not bother to say thank you, but instead gave the worker a hard time for something that probably isn't even his fault. I said thank you to try and improve my own image in this situation. As we're pulling away, I'm giving my driver a hard time again because of how they were giving the workers a hard time. They had the gall to justify it with, I've got anxiety. Are you kidding me? I've got anxiety too, so I don't go around treating food service workers like bullshit, because I know how nerve-wracking the job can be. The dumbest part about this, my driver didn't even order anything for themselves, and I was the one who paid for it. So, as a result of that little stunt by someone that I have no choice but to be around for now, I'm going to turn my focus towards Karens for this particular video. Karens, Darrens, boomers, whatever you might call them, are getting a much-needed beatdown on this channel today. It's mind-boggling that literally no matter how much this kind of attitude is publicly mocked, both in person and on social media, and especially the consequences that have arisen for people that make a fool out of themselves like this in public, it still happens. But I will happily call it out every time it rears its ugly head. Because as much as I hate the capitalist ruling class, I am also very intolerant of the people that exacerbate the plight of the workers. I'll be reading stories from food service and retail workers alike, and I may even just look at some videos of people acting out, being rude, etc. With that said, let's get to the first story, which is titled "Man Calls the Cops on Us and Gets Banned," and reads, I work at a Hardee's. Today, our GM was sick for the second day in a row and didn't show up. Our franchise owner decided to cut labor and save money, but make us do more work. Basically, we used to end breakfast at 11, but now at 12. I'm supposed to be off the clock at 12, but now I'm not because I still have all my closing stuff. So people are upset, we're super short-staffed, and it's all around a terrible time. So our GM called out, we were short-staffed due to labor cuts to save money, added on to the missing person. We were busy as hell, and we had non-stop orders for hours. It was a terrible time. A guy ordered food and wanted fresh chicken, and among the mess of the time, someone pushed off his order from the screen and it was forgotten about for 5 minutes. The guy was waiting for about 10 minutes for the food, after being told he'd have to wait 6 minutes. He got mad. A front worker asked if he was needing something. She had been working in the back to help out during a huge rush and just got up and saw him, and he yelled at her and called everyone lazy and stated that we were all shitty workers, and started yelling at a minor who was at work for spring break. We have a guy who works in the back who is black, and the sweetest guy I work with. He decides that he wasn't gonna let the guy talk that way and went off on him. The guy, being the customer, started using racial slurs, and the guy, being the coworker, got mad and spit in his direction. Fell for the customer's trap. Cops were called. The coworker was willing to get fired for this. Owner was informed that a GM from off-site was called in to help. Cops came in and took the guy's statement, and a woman came from behind the cops and was like, I'd like to make a statement, I saw the whole thing. She told the cops that the customer started it and instigated a fight with us, and we tried to inform him in a polite way that we were sorry and understaffed and to get it out for him. The guy was banned from the store, and the guy who stood up for the minor was told that he wasn't in trouble by the owner. Now the guy who was banned is trying to get in contact with our franchise owner on Facebook to get the guy fired because he assumes he wasn't informed. Damn. Imagine calling the cops because you got what you deserve, and then getting banned from a restaurant for a situation you purposely made worse than it needed to be. All you have to do in a situation like this is go up to the counter, tell them that you ordered whatever it is you ordered, tell them that you still haven't gotten it, and make sure you have your receipt. I do not understand people that get angry over fast food, because it's not like this is your first meal in 36 days. I'll be honest, I'm surprised the franchise owner had any sympathy towards the worker here, seeing as how he has already made the decision to basically issue pay cuts by cutting labor and forcing everyone to do more work for the same amount of money. Not to mention he has children working for him, which I don't know about y'all, but I personally think that the whole let's get these kids some experience before they enter the real world thing is a capitalist justification for making third incomes a standard. I do not think minors should be in the workforce at all. So long as there is one able-bodied adult without a job that needs the money, there shouldn't be a single minor in the workforce. The fact that there are minors in the workforce, to me, is Exhibit A that this system is unsustainable. And unfortunately, we now have stories like this popping up, where Darren thinks it's okay to berate and belittle children just because they're fast food slaves, and because the customer is always right. No. I don't think it's right to verbally abuse children, and I don't think it's right to call people slurs, whether you're genuinely racist or trying to goad them into assaulting you. I don't think it's right to verbally abuse anyone unless they have seriously wronged you, and especially not over such a small inconvenience like forgetting to cook your chicken sandwich. Even if the worker was getting snappy with me first, all I would really do in that situation is ask for a refund and take my business elsewhere. The next story is titled DQ Live Rush and reads, "So I worked at DQ for 2 months at this point when we started getting the shows. Where I live, everything happens all at once, so you'll get one day where 20 events will happen, like a car show, a gun show, a monster truck show, a volleyball game, a soccer game, a theater show, a local band show, etc. Which means that we'd have a very busy day at old DQ. Gods above, I could not even imagine. Well, on this one day, it was one of those days that everything was happening. Even a circus was in town that day, and it was Veterans Day too. Well, we had a line going out our doors and all the way into the middle of the parking lot. Now, it's not unusual that we have people waiting in long lines. Well, we were told to screw the number of placards because we don't have enough in the first place, and it was mid-virus, meaning that we'd have to clean them before we could give them to another customer. So it was chaos, both in the lobby and in the drive-thru. Mind you, I was the only employee that worked the lobby, since most people didn't like it. Fuck. I'd just pull a gun out and off myself. It's like Berlin in 1945. Anyways, everything was going well. I only got pulled aside 18 times to be told that I should have more help, and only 6 people complained at that point that their food hadn't been made their way to them. And how could you serve people that came after us before serving us? Before anyone asks, usually the people that got their food before everyone else were fish orders, since fish isn't the most popular thing here. See, the whole "why are they serving other people before us" complaint is always the first observation of the person I ride with every time we get pulled ahead, and every time I have to tell them that they're cooking it fresh. Call me a positive thinker, because whenever that happens, I always think fresh food. Good, right? Unfortunately, there are people that, despite having literally cooked for themselves in the past, whether they made a home-cooked meal or have only microwaved shit, can't accept that it takes time for food to cook. Unless they're really that stupid that, whenever they cook something themselves, they get all pissy that it's not done and on their plate all in less than 30 seconds. Amongst the chaos, a woman came in and asked for a 2-adult and 2-kid order, which wasn't that bad. But since it was all the popular menu items that day, I warned her that it could be a bit of a wait, since we had a whole parking lot waiting for similar items. Well, her order comes up and I called it out, since I was so tired that I wasn't interested in going and searching for her. Apparently she went to the bathroom, and since I didn't get a response or see her, I moved on to the next customer's order. Well, she came out and says, "I think that's my food." I mean, I get it, she waited at least 30 minutes to get her food, so I went and grabbed it. Well, I'll admit that I wasn't doing my best that day, and forgot her cups. So she said, "So I don't get drinks?" And I apologized and said I'd get them right away. And she threw the food at me and said, "No, fuck you! I want a damn refund! This is utter bullshit!" See, if someone ever throws food at me, I'm throwing food right back. Maybe some fire grease too, and maybe some hands added with that. And that one's on the house. If I'm the one person working lobby during a day that it's so busy that there's a line of people going out the door, and someone assaults me with food because I forgot their drinks, they're getting the food thrown back at them at a force comparable to that of a meteorite. I don't care if they've been waiting there for 3 hours. That is completely ridiculous and unwarranted. But I guess it takes working in fast food to be able to sympathize with the pressure that workers in that industry face. So I apologized again, too kind, and go for my manager. I didn't realize the woman decided that cussing me out wasn't enough, because my manager came out when she heard the shouting, and around that time I turned around to come tell her, and my manager rushed at me, pushed me aside, and grabbed this woman's arm. She was about 2 inches away from almost hitting me while my back was turned. Okay, at that point I'd be defending myself. If I were to somehow find it in my heart to apologize to someone that literally just assaulted me with their food, and they try to make a cowardly attempt to assault me physically, they're going down. Hands will be thrown. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I'm not saying saying this from an equal rights, equal fight standpoint. I'm saying this from a self-defense standpoint. The threshold of gender relevancy is crossed at this point. This is also the point at which the threshold of professional attitudes is crossed with me. It should never not be okay to practice self-defense and curb physical threats. OP, you're a far better man than I am. My manager told her to get out from behind the counter if she didn't want charges to be pressed, and the whole time she was getting her refund, she was cussing my manager out, cussing me out, and promising not to come back. I felt so exhausted that I felt like my legs were going to give out. Oh, and the lady kept her promise of never coming back, though if she did, the store manager would have kicked her out. But she was the most wild person that I met while working there. See, that is another option to press charges, but it's always fun to make them pay for their violent behavior and be able to plead self-defense and watch the aggressor get locked up for their crimes. I don't care how much money a customer spends with a business. If they're going to act like that to employees, then good fucking riddance. Misconduct like that ought to warrant an instant ban with no refund. I think just throwing food at people ought to warrant charges pressed for disorderly conduct. Before we move on, I'd like to share this. I was scrolling down r/fast food horror stories and saw this. If your order is taking so long that you feel the need to yell at and berate minors, call black workers the N-word, or throw your food at a worker for forgetting something, this is what you need to do. Ask for an application, go to the interview, get back there, and help out. Especially if you only see one fucking person on lobby during a federal holiday. If you don't want to work in food service, that's understandable, trust me. I don't blame you for wanting to avoid that line of work, but in that case, be patient. If you don't want to be patient or apply for the job, then go home and cook something yourself. The next story is titled, "Man Became Violent Because the Sandwiches He Wanted Weren't on Sale," and reads, "He comes in every week with his wife and tries to bargain prices like it's a pawn shop. Every week, my coworker tells him that they aren't on sale and that there's nothing she could do. He's always rude about it. This Saturday, when she told him, he proceeded to scream and cuss at her, then walked away, yelled, 'Fuck you, fuck y'all, fuck this place,' slammed the door so hard it cracked the glass and chipped the brick on the building. It was really loud, which made a baby in the lobby start bawling. And then he flipped us off in the parking lot before driving away. Don't get it twisted, I genuinely love serving people. It makes me happy. I genuinely like my job, but I can't ever enjoy it because half the day is just people getting angry and blaming me over the smallest things that aren't ever my fault. I have the highest patience and I'm never rude back, but they're driving me crazy on the daily. Oh no, the sandwich you want isn't on sale? Yeah, that's 100% my fault. Please yell at me and don't blame the billion-dollar company that pays me minimum wage for raising the prices. Oh, you're mad because you have to wait for fresh food in your nice air-conditioned car while I'm running around working 3 stations by myself? Oh, I'm so sorry. That must be so hard for you. My bad. Uh-oh, you're old and didn't hear me greet you at the drive-thru mic, so you start loudly and repeatedly honking your horn and screaming, 'Hello!' busting out my eardrum? Yeah, of course that was my fault. Let me just take your order while blood drips from my ear. Please stop before you send me to the 4th floor. See, this guy tells it exactly how it is, and I love it. It is completely meaningless to blame an entry-level employee for a billion-dollar fast food chain and not putting something on sale at any given time. I mean, I get it, maybe you're low on money, but still, there's no reason to yell at entry-level fast food employees for doing their job. It also may as well be the definition of irony that a customer who is waiting for fresh food inside their air-conditioned car is getting mad at an employee that is having to work 3 stations, juggling probably 7 other orders, probably without air conditioning in the kitchen, and all for minimum wage. But yeah, that's fine. Just yell at the employees and slam a door so hard that it scares a baby into crying. Please tell me he ended up paying for the damage he caused. For the next segment of this video, we're going to be looking at a couple videos, and this one is titled Prophet Karen Goes Shopping. Let's watch it. You gotta love this. Let me be the first to tell you that this is exactly what insanity looks like. Let me just shout like a maniac and accuse people of being demons and yell at them to get off the aisle in Jesus' name, whatever that even means at this point. She acts like she's fighting religious persecution or some shit. It's so weird. What happens when she gets off the aisle? Is she going to yell until that whole section of the store is cleared out? Why not just yell until everyone, other customers and employees alike, is outside of the store? How does she act around the cashier? The person that she absolutely needs to deal with in order for her to legally buy the stuff she's here for. So weird. So weird. There's got to be something wrong with this lady. I mean, aside from being religious, although it doesn't surprise me that this is a Christian, as they always seem to act like they're morally and really just generally superior to everyone else. The next video is titled Karen Treating Service Workers Like Crap, Swears I'm Not the One Causing Problems Here. Let's watch.
I understand why you can't do these personal conversations on your own time.
Okay, I'm done.
So you need some help over here? I'm not talking to you.
You need to get a manager then. And this is all being filmed.
Yes, it is. And good job filming your own freakout. I've never understood why customers and some bosses hate when the employees converse. It's like, why? Why does that offend you? Is the quality of your product really taking that big of a dip from the employees conversing and making friends and really just trying to pass the time and have a good day? Some people like this claim it's unprofessional. How? How is an employee talking and conversing with another employee unprofessional? Please, if you have a logical explanation, please explain it to me in the comments. This isn't grade school, you're not a teacher, mind your own fucking business. If no one talked to each other at work, not only would everyone there go insane, but it would be an absolute dumpster fire. Communication is much more important than you think. The employees, of course, are justifiably fed up with the way this Karen is treating them.
Okay.
I have got things to do and I need to get out of here.
Okay. Listen, ma'am, I don't know what your problem is right now.
I told you, I am a customer. You all were talking about weekend plans. That's not what you do on the clock.
I don't. You know what? I'm done.
It was on film.
I'm
Then
done.
get a manager. Why don't you all just text each other? Clearly you all are friends. Why aren't you texting each other?
That was a customer.
No, you were talking to her. It's on film.
Ma'am, you gotta go.
She was asking you what you're doing this weekend. And while I'm up here waiting,
Where's security at? You have to go.
Yeah, go ahead, get security.
Okay, get ready to be escorted off the premises then, because here you are, making a scene literally over two people talking. If they only texted each other, their bosses would scold them for being on their phones while they were supposed to be working. Or should they just not communicate at all? Yes, let's all just walk around and work silently like a bunch of drones. Dumbass. Then she gets the bright idea to film a customer and berate them for reasons unknown. Nice going. Yeah, you deserve to be trespassed at that point. This is how you know someone is completely miserable with their life. There is only two possible reasons that people freak out over two employees having a private conversation. One is that they don't have anyone to talk to themselves, and the second being paranoia. Like they basically think that the two employees are talking shit behind her back, which they definitely will be now. Judging by the fact that she's freaking out over one of the workers asking the other what they're doing Friday night, I'd have to assume that this lady doesn't have any friends herself and has decided that if she can't have friends, no one should be able to.
You need to get a manager. This is all on film. I'm not the one causing problems here.
As for her claim that she isn't the one causing problems, obviously she would never admit that she's in the wrong, but I think we all know that yes, she very much is. She's yelling at workers for conversing with each other. She can deny it and justify her behavior all she wants. It won't change the fact that she is in fact the one causing problems. Karens in general will never recognize that they are in the wrong. As long as the customer is always right mantra is followed by corporations and companies, and as long as managers, business owners, and corporate employees enable this behavior, it will never end. Karen behavior is a byproduct of capitalism. As long as capitalism remains, phrases like the customer is always right will always be followed by companies looking to make that extra dollar and outperform their competitors. And the verbal abuse of frontline workers will be tolerated and remained a normalized feature of society. Which is why I think that everyone that watches this video and is tired of the bullshit should look into socialism. I know it's controversial, but look into some of the other videos on YouTube. Go down the rabbit hole, get a feel for the perspective, and try to view life through a new lens. And whenever you have a bad interaction with a customer, just remember that capitalism is the root of this cancer. The minute capitalism is removed, the profit motive will follow. The minute the profit motive is dropped, the customer is always right mantra will also be dropped. And the minute that is dropped will be the minute that Karen's behavior will no longer be enabled and her verbal abuse towards you will no longer be tolerated. Grocery stores will still exist under socialism, but customers will have to contend with a new set of rules. They will no longer be treated the same as shareholders, but instead as guests at someone else's house. You start causing a scene and it's out with you. I don't know if fast food will continue to be a thing under socialism, or if it does, it will likely be heavily reformed to resemble something more akin to a buffet. The burger's already cooked, you just have to assemble the sandwich. There. Now you don't have much of an excuse to pitch a bitch over a messed up order or missing items, or have to worry about waiting 15 minutes at the stall ahead of you. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be the end of this video. If you enjoyed me mocking Karen behavior and think I've redeemed myself for being part of a worker's bad interaction, give this video a thumbs up, be sure to share this video with your coworkers, spread the sympathy around, leave your thoughts and horror stories in the comments below, and subscribe for more content like this, as there will be more, and click the bell to get notified when I upload. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon with another video. Bye guys.